What makes art like this or this feel masterful in a way that you can't seem to replicate? How do these artists create pieces that feel visually pleasing no matter the character, environment, or pose? I've always been intrigued by the art masters and their incredible use of composition in their artworks. Their arcs seem to flow around the character, wrapping them and tying the piece together in a way that feels very complete and intentional. If we study the masters of composition, we can see that no matter how complicated the piece is, their art always follows a base set of rules that they can put in place for their composition. Triangle and shapes, center framing, frame within a frame, rule of thirds, etc. It's very, very endless. However, one aspect that I wanted to study is the golden spiral. The golden spiral is a mathematical equation that is derived from the golden ratio 1.618. The golden ratio is shown so often in nature that it is a fundamental part of the natural environment, and it's a continuous ratio that is very pleasing to the human eye, therefore it's a beast to use in your art pieces. You've probably seen this before. This spiral comes from when you take 1.618 of your canvas's total area repeatedly. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller, spiraling towards the center, giving you this shape that resembles a nautilus shell. We can use this spiral to direct the focus of the viewer's attention to the focal point of the painting, generally and gently pushing their eyes towards where they should go and look. This can apply to backgrounds, setting, close-up portraits, or complex combinations of all of them. The possibilities are really endless. You will often hear people tell you to push proportions and make your characters feel dynamic when drawing poses. Something like this feels way more dynamic than something like this. They are the same pose, but one has pushed proportions. When you amplify the emotion you are attempting to convey, you get much more of that emotion translated into the artwork itself. While this is true, something else has to be considered. Mood. When you are drawing a character that is canonically incredibly dynamic, flowy, and fits that mood, I encourage you to draw them like that. But not all characters fit this dynamic. Take the character I'm drawing, Friren, from Friren Beyond Journey's End. This series is a masterclass in composition and world building, but it also establishes a concrete narrative and mood that each of the characters inhabits and follows. It's consistent, steady, and grounded. If you have watched the series, it's abundantly clear that Friren is not a character that moves dynamically. She is more often than not floating and stays in very, very rigid poses. In light of this, she would look unnatural in these incredibly dynamic poses. This is where composition comes to play. We can use composition to make the pose feel dynamic while keeping the air of calm and wiseness that Friren or other characters output so often. Lighting can completely change the mood of your piece. When we make a gentle, natural, easy lighting, that can be more calming and simple. Similar to gesture and poses, if we amplify that lighting and make it more dramatic, that conveys so much more of the emotion and information that we want to convey into that piece. We can use this in a similar way that we do with composition. If the character does not inhabit a dynamic pose, use the lighting to intensify the mood. Putting this all together, the consensus is to use lighting and composition to make a piece feel dynamic while keeping any kind of aura or original mood that that character inhabits. Starting with paper, I sketched out a lot of options and narrowed it down to the ones I liked, and then I brought it into my digital program to refine it more. After thumbnailing for some time, I found two types of compositional pieces that I found very, very visually pleasing. You'll find that each of these pieces follows the golden spiral, with the focal point being the black hole and the hair and the face that follows and supports it in that golden spiral. In the end, I liked this and built on it more. We can see that in this sketch, her hair and her face wraps around the golden spiral, with the focal point being at the black hole, which is intended. The perspective is an overhead perspective, with her reaching up holding that black hole. For me, this creates more of a whimsical feeling, or a feeling as if we're looking down on her. With base colors, I played around with them, but ultimately I like this lighting the best. From there, I laid down those colors and started coloring more in the full piece. We can see how important some of these layers are with just one blending mode, carrying the entire mood of the piece. You can see how much of a difference this one singular layer makes. A few stray lines and a noise layer, and we have a finished piece.